Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is 9/18/2025. The time is 9:04. My name is Carolyn Stapleton. I'm serving as the chairperson today. My colleagues on the panel are to my left, Chuck Tillis, and on my right, Jerry Ledoux. The panel today is at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Headquarters staff, please introduce yourself for the record.
Francis Abbott.
David Cavalier.
Today, our remote location is at Raymond Laborde Correctional Center. With the staff at that facility, please introduce yourself for the record.
Brent Thompson, Warden.
Steve Bordelon, Deputy Warden.
Nikki Shinbear, Deputy Warden.
Raven Heath, classification.
Melissa Joshua, Records.
Thank you. Mr. Angelle, please introduce yourself by stating your full name and DOC number for the record.
My name is Lee Jules Angelle, DOC number 240608.
I will give you a brief explanation of the process. I will read some information into the record and ask you to verify it. We will give you a chance to speak and tell us what you did that caused your incarceration and why you should be released. Then the warden at the facility can speak. We will allow public comments from 3 supporters who will speak on your behalf, and 3 people in opposition will be allowed to speak, the district attorney, and then we also have people from the AG's office here and Louisiana Department of Justice. They will give their statement. Then we'll conduct a parole interview, and your case has been assigned to me, Carolyn Stapleton, who will take the lead in your interview. So we're going to start with that. Today we have for parole interview consideration Lee Angelle. He stated his DOC number as 240608, who is a first-class felony offender, and you were convicted of forcible rape, second-degree kidnapping, armed robbery. Your parole eligibility date is you have none, and your good time date is you have none. Your parole eligibility date.
That's a good thing.
Parole eligibility date is 8/1/2021. Okay, your good time date, if you have that or no. Okay, 9/5/2044, and your full-time date is 5/22/2070. Is that information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Warden, do you have anything you would like to say about this case as our inmate?
Currently he's doing pretty good. He's actually enrolled and he's actually working right now in our small engine program. His disciplinary record is not too bad. His last writer was in 2018 for rule number 5. He's not doing too bad at this time.
Okay. Okay, would you like to tell me what brought you here today? What was your crime, sir, Mr. Angelle?
Ma'am, I was leading a really bad life, not stable, working on riverboats around bad people. And I did not want to wait for my checks to get together to be able to have me a new life. So I decided to get me a gun. And I knew where they had one of my stepdads. So I got me a screwdriver, got on a bicycle, went to the house to get the gun. And his daughter happened to be there, and my mind clicked, put her in the car, and we took off. And when I tried to go rob the people I wanted to, nobody was there. And I just lost my mind, and I realized I'm going to prison. So I went ahead and forced her to have sex, and we rode around, robbed a whole lot of people. I robbed gas stations from gas money, trying to figure out what to do, until we just rode on till late at night. And that's when we got arrested, finally caught up with me. That's basically what happened that night.
You had a co-defendant also, didn't you?
Yes, a young man, I think he was like 16. I just picked him up, knew him and his whole family. And I told him what I was going to do and he was all right with it. I said, well, let's go then.
And he raped her also, right?
No, ma'am, that's strictly me. He just riding in the car. All he did was ride in the car.
Okay. All right. Does your attorney, would he like to speak at this time? Do you have an attorney?
No.
No.
No, ma'am. No turn.
All right. So,
He does have family members here.
okay. All right, so we're gonna go to, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce the last name. That is, no, Degator, is that person here in support of friend?
He's supposed to be on Zoom, I think. Yeah. A friend of mine. On Zoom. He's on Zoom. I don't see him. But he's a friend of mine, childhood friend. Be Dignitary.
Oh, okay, well, he's not speaking, so we're gonna move right along. Huh?
Yeah. I have my auntie here, would like to say something, though, ma'am.
Okay, you can go ahead and speak, ma'am.
Morning.
What's your name for the record?
My name is Katrina Collette.
Okay,
I'm Lee's maternal aunt. His mom was my only one and only sibling, my sister. We lost her in January of this year. I've known Lee all of my life and I've watched him grow up. He was never a bully or a mischievous child. He lost his dad when he was almost 15 years old, which is a vulnerable age for any child. Everyone who knew Lee couldn't believe what he had done because this was not the Lee we all knew and loved. When he turned to drugs, that's when his life turned around. He was only 25 and on drugs, and when he went to prison, he is now 55 and has become the real man, clean and sober. In the 30 years he's been in prison, I've watched him mature into the man he is today. He has overcome illnesses more than once, where the doctors told us at one point he only had 18 months to live. I believe God has work planned for him in the free world. He has taken classes in the past, facilitated classes, and has recently earned certifications in different areas of mechanics, small engines and diesel, and in theology. He also attends AA meetings. He knows what he did was wrong and is remorseful for it. He has built a relationship with God and has helped others to come to depend on God to show them the right path to take God is forgiving and he wants us all to be forgiving as well. All he wants to do upon his release is to work and enjoy sleeping in the dark. He isn't scared of hard work and the heat or cold would not be an issue after being in prison in the summers and the winters with the heat and the cold. He's learned how to cope with many situations while being incarcerated, and I feel that he can deal with hard situations he may find in the free world. He's clean from drugs and wishes no ill will toward anybody. He just wants a chance to live free for the remainder of his life. I don't know where his stepsister lives, but I do go to Lafayette all the time and I've never met up with her. She has a good life with her husband and children and has nothing to change if Lee comes home. I'm sure she can go about her life without ever seeing him again. His freedom would cost them nothing. Living in Lafayette, they're more in danger of strangers than they would be from Lee. My family of 3 sons and their families would like to have Lee be part of our family again. I feel that Lee has been in prison long enough to have paid his debt to society and to his stepsister.
thank you very much, ma'am. So today we have an opposition. I'm going to call Haviston with the 16th JDC.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Claire Howington, and I'm an ADA with the 16th JDA. I don't believe I've met any of y'all personally before, but I'm happy to be here on behalf of Ms. Royston, on behalf of our office. I listened to Mr. Angel's comments and I had made some notes before this, but I really just want to focus on this first. One of the things I always look at when I think about parole cases is whether or not that offender has really accepted that they made a choice to do something that was wrong and that it hurt someone else. And I noticed when I was going through the pre-parole report that one of his comments in his pre-application is that he was on drugs at the time that this happened. And there didn't seem to be a connection in the way that comment was written between his actions and his drug use. He didn't realize his drug use didn't cause him to do this, his choices caused him to do that. And then I listened to him today and he talked about being around bad people and going to rob somebody, and he still is downplaying what he did to Miss Boyson, which is an incredible violation. I mean, it's painful for me to think about, quite frankly. And he still doesn't realize that that's his choice, that his choices led him to be where he is. So that always is just a trigger for me that I think he's not quite ready to be somebody who is out in the free world because he doesn't realize his choices are what led him to be where he is. And in that vein, I think that not only was the nature of the offense here heinous, he pled down a life sentence to be where he is now, that in his comments, he just has not had enough time. His full term date is 2070. I'm not good at math, but to me, that's less than half of his sentence. So I think that parole should be denied. He is just not there yet. He has not spent enough time, and it doesn't sound to me like he's truly remorseful for his actions. Don't got any questions? That's all I had.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She is, okay. And, Mr. Joseph LeBeau?
Yes.
Okay, and you're with the Louisiana District, Department of Justice, I'm sorry.
That's correct. Ladies and gentlemen of the Parole Board, thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Joseph LeBeau. I'm with the Attorney General's office here. While we were not involved with the prosecution in this matter, victim Ms. Boyston did reach out to us, and I think that's the most important thing that I'd like to discuss today. In Mr. Angel's recitation of his version of the facts, what he failed to mention were specific threats made to the victim. Specifically that if she were to cooperate with law enforcement or if he were to ever get out of prison, that he would cause more violence towards her. I think that is very important for this board to consider to go along with my co-counsel's theme of lack of accountability, lack of remorse. That was not mentioned. Another thing that was mentioned during Mr. Angelle and his family's statements were that if he were to get out, that nothing would happen. The victim would just be able to live, continue to life. I think that is a drastic understatement of what the realities of somebody who committed a forcible rape, armed robbery, a rape with threats of use of a weapon. It would cause immense emotional damage to this victim if he were to get out of prison and live in the same area that she resides, knowing that they could run into each other at the bank or at a grocery store. So I agree with my co-counsel. I don't think there's been enough time. I think the more appropriate remedy is to allow Mr. Angelle to serve until his good time date, which is in 2044. And so I would ask the full board at this time to deny parole today.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we're going to go into executive session.
I make a motion that we go into an executive session.
Second.
Magoo,
Yes.
Pemberton,
Yes.
Gillis.
Yes.
Okay, we're returning from executive session and it's at 9:30 a.m.
Yes.
Motion,
Make a motion, we return.
Second.
okay. Okay, so we're back. I'd like to know from, Mr. Angelle, you can speak now and tell me, if you could speak to your victims, which like you said, you admitted to, you had many that night. What would you say to your victims?
I will tell my victim, it's not a targeted thing. She was just not what I went for. I went for the gun. It was not personal. It's not something intentionally for her. It was not something that was meant to be. I didn't really mean this at that time. Just realizing that I was going to go to prison for the rest of my life. And I just seen her, I said, well, this is what I gotta do. And then, after I rode around, that's why I rode around so much, just trying to, felt so bad for what things I was doing. That's why I just rode and rode all night, trying to find an end. I just couldn't find an end, couldn't live with myself at that point. I knew at that point I could not even, I don't have the heart to kill myself. And that's really what I wanted to do that night, after I realized what I had done. But she was not a target. I did not go for intentions for her. Intentions was for the gun. That's all my intention was.
So why do you think we should give you an early release? Because you did make a plea bargain that could have been life and it was pled down and you agreed to the plea bargain. So why do you think that that should be overturned as far as you getting out early?
Now I do value life. Other people's in my own. Back then I did not have value of life. Now I have skills and I took classes that helped me with a future that I know I could have. A better life. It's something better than I had before, where I wouldn't have these thoughts in my head to do things. I will be able to have what I need to go on.
Okay, well, I have that you out of a 75-year sentence, which of course, you do have a concurrent, which was another 75 years, which would have been 150 if they were consecutive, that you've only served about half of it. So I did want to mention that. And I do want to mention because I was a law enforcement, I was a victims advocate, I was on the crime victims board, and we had a situation. And your sister mentioned that the victim of the rape has a good life and everything. And without speaking to that person, I would like you to know that we had a case that came up and the guy had raped this woman and threatened to kill her. And he was getting out after 20 years. She moved forward with her life. But then all of a sudden, her case came before us on the Crime Victims Board that she needed counseling and she was falling apart. And it was because he had said, if you ever go to law enforcement and you tell them what I did, when I get out, I'll kill you. So all of that came rushing and flooding back into her life. So you're wrong when you think that victims, even though they move forward, and thank God they do, sometimes they just have to put it in the back of their mind until circumstances like this make it come rushing forward. But were you to be getting out, and whenever you do get out, she will have another thing that she'll have to deal with, and that's the armed robbery victims and the rape victims, all of your victims. They will have to contend with reliving the situation over. So no, I mean, they go forward with their life, but it is never the same. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say? Any questions?
I have a question.
Okay. Well, at this time, the panel is ready to vote. And my vote is going to be to deny. You served around half of your sentence. You did make a plea bargain. And so you got a break there. The victim and victims, if you were to get out, I don't think they would be very comfortable right now. And you said that your plan, your sister said, is to go back into your hometown. And of course, that would never be possible. I mean, I would never approve that. Can't go back there. I think you minimized and you continue to minimize what you actually did to them, because you keep saying that you were just, it's almost like you were having a bad night. And these are the things that you did. So I don't see any remorse. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add? Okay, so my vote is to deny.
My vote also is to deny because of, not enough time served in law enforcement and family opposition.
My vote is to deny parole based on, still a lack of remorse for the victim. Time served is way less than 50%, and law enforcement opposition. So my vote is to deny.
So today your parole has been denied. It's 3 of 3 that have denied it. Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is September 18th, 2025. The time is 9:45. My name is Carolyn Stevenson. I'm serving as today's chairman. My colleagues on the panel today are Jerry Ledoux and Chuck Tillis. The panel today is at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. Today, our remote location is from Raymond Laborde Correctional. Staff at the facility, please introduce yourself.
My name is Keith Turner, DOC.
Brent Thompson, Warden.
Stephen Parole.
All right, I'm sorry, thank you very much. Okay, please introduce yourself, Mr. Turner, with your DOC number for the record.
Keith D. Turner, DOC number 128948.
Okay, can you explain why you are here today and why you are seeking an early release?
Here today to admit to a crime that I got involved with, a senseless and cowardly crime I got involved with in 1992 that resulted in a drug deal that led to a man losing his life and one man was injured. And I foolishly, it was no excuse. It was my decision. I mean, I knew right from wrong. I knew it was wrong. And I don't know what got into me that night. I just foolishly made that decision to be involved in a crime that led to two people being shot. One man lost his life and another one was injured. And the third victim that wasn't injured, it's a blessing she wasn't injured because she and I was classmates at elementary, so I was relieved to know that she wasn't injured. I'm sorry for what happened. What happened should have never happened, and I'm truly regretful that it did happen. I'm regretful. I regret it. I've been regretting it for many years. I mean, when I was in solitary confinement over the years, for 10 years, I mourned many nights asking for forgiveness because what happened shouldn't have happened. It wasn't worth it.
Hey, I was supposed to read into the record some information, so I'm going to do that now, Mr. Turner. I listened to everything that you were saying. You're a class 3 offender, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You were sentenced originally for manslaughter and armed robbery, and you were sentenced to 40 years. And then there was another manslaughter charge while you were in jail. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's see. Your full term, you have a good time date. You're not eligible, but your full time date is 6/11/2038. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, your parole eligibility date is 10/4/2012, and your good time date is 6/16/2037. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I have to read. Okay. All right. Warden, is there anything you would like to add?
Yes, ma'am. Keith is doing pretty good right now. His last write-up was in February 2019 for a rule violation of number 5. He works at the facility, does a pretty good job with it. He's one of our walk-alls. He's taken several classes. The biggest thing I could say that Keith needs to obtain would be to get his GED. That's something important. The key thing is to make sure Keith, once he actually do get the opportunity to get out, that he actually stay out. But he actually gonna need those tools. From what I understand, the parole project is willing to actually assist Keith as well, and he still can obtain the GED through those processes.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, we have supporters for you today. Let's see, Dr. Cheryl Muse, Jacqueline Cheryl Muse.
Sherilyn Muse, Sherilyn.
Yes. Would you like to speak? Yes, you could go up to the podium, please. Yes, ma'am. You're fine, talking right there.
Germaine is my big sister. And I believe that, has made tremendous progress, especially from a spiritual point of view. He has shown great remorse for the time that he has committed. And I believe that it will be wonderful to have him released so that he can, the rest of his life, and contribute to society. There are things that he needs to do. Like I said, he's really remorseful for his crime. And we have been very supportive of him since his restoration. I have been with some ago. And I feel that he's remorseful for to be released and go back to society. He's ready to participate in church. He's ready to participate in all activities that will cover his role. And I appreciate you all giving the opportunity to do this.
Thank you, ma'am, for speaking. Okay, Jacqueline Hughes.
I prepare a paper because I have a tendency to stumble.
Okay.
If you would just bear with me.
All right.
Good morning to you guys, officers and members of the board. I am Jackie Hughes. I am one of Keith's 5 sisters. We were road dogs as children. We played football in the field, kickball, softball, riding bikes, and basketball at the park, even going to the gym. I'd like to thank you for being here, whether in person or by satellite. Thank you for being in position. Months and even years have passed by. We, Keith's family, has suffered a loss as well as the victims. I would like to apologize for my brother's actions on multiple occasions and also ask the family of the victims to please be forgiving. Now that those years have passed and change has taken place, we're hoping to be able to spend some time with Keith among family, friends, and hopefully some classmates. Keith has definitely expressed remorse for his actions, sorrow for the victims and their family, and he also expresses that he wants to be a mentor to other young men, and he speaks of possibly motivational speaking, sharing about not only how you have at some point fall under submission, whether it be to Allah, God, prison staff, you must humble yourself. And I believe he has. After submission, then you can be dealt with. Keith has unfortunately learned the hard way. Yes, we grew up in a challenging environment, but we since have learned to trust God and not the fist. We have lost our parents, a sister, and other very close members. This has been hard for us without Keith. We have gained great nieces, nephews, and other family also. I'm asking the board to please give us an opportunity to spend time with our brother. Please allow him an opportunity to prove himself to be a productive citizen, to work and care for himself, to help in rearing his grands and great-grandchildren. My mentally ill sister, who recently lost her husband of over 30 years, has no children and awaits his assistance. Thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to mention, and then we're going to go to Carrie Myers, that Annie Lofton and Petra Lofton are here at headquarters also in support of their brother. So now, Mr. Carrie Myers from the Parole Project.
Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here to let the board know that we've accepted Keith as a client of Parole Project. Should this board grant him parole today, Keith will come to us and live in our residence for a minimum of at least 4 to 5 weeks in phase 1. While he's there, he will go through programming that's going to help him. After 33 years in prison, he's done right at 73% of his sentence. He's going to need the type of reentry support that Parole Project is completely prepared to give to people who have served this amount of time. That's going to include social norms, consumer skills, financial management. He'll be evaluated by our social workers for any specific mental health or substance abuse needs. And obviously, our program is about compliance. It's a voluntary program. And Keith is in working with Keith prior to this hearing, he is absolutely willing to comply to the recommendations. Since he's been incarcerated, he's taken living in balance, anger management, victim impact, thinking for a change. He's been involved in AANA, Inside Out Dads. He hasn't had a write-up in the last 6 years. Keith is, even though he was denied in 2023, he's continued the same path. We believe that he is now at 57 years old. He's still employable, but he's also has the maturity to understand his actions. And we believe that Keith would be an excellent client for Parole Project. So we would just ask this board to consider the.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. At this time, we will conduct our parole interview, and the case has been assigned to Ms. Jerry Ledoux.
Good morning, Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner, you know, you commented about your initial arrest and the situation that occurred to get you into prison. And that was the question that we asked. But I would also like for you to explain your next arrest while you were incarcerated.
Incarcerated. I involved myself with an immoral relationship, and a relationship with me and the victim. We started off as friends, and as time passed, we became more than friends. And the day before the incident occurred, the relationship went left, and things happened the night before the incident. Nothing serious, it was minor. And the next day when we went to work call, I tried to resolve the matter that we went through the night before. And some harsh words was exchanged, was said from him to me. And I took it pretty hard, and words was exchanged after that, and one thing led to the next. I mean, it wasn't anything intentional. It's just it happened so fast. I truly regret it. It just, I mean, at that time, at that moment, I mean, it was like I acted out of fear and anger. Fear for my life due to the fact that when I was approached the night before the incident, that's what kind of spooked me out. The way he approached me in my bed area. And that's what spooked me out right then. And then the next day when I tried to resolve the matter, I didn't know what had gotten into him to approach me the way he did the night before the incident. So the next morning when we went to work call, I tried to ease the conversation that we had. I tried to resolve the matter, and words were exchanged, and one thing led to the other.
Which ended up with you being charged with manslaughter. He received injuries that he died from.
No, ma'am. He didn't die the same day. He lived for like 6.5, 7 days. But
had a symptom which was caused by the injury. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm very familiar with this case. I actually heard your case in 2014. So I'm very familiar with the case. And I appreciate the things that you have done while you've been incarcerated. I know that maturity comes in prison, and but tell me how you would handle these things now that you're down the road a little bit. How would you handle these situations?
I've grown, man. I've grown to have full control over myself. I did 10 years when I was in solitary confinement in Angola for 10 years, 10 flat years, 23 hours a day. I was able to find myself and humble myself and grow. I've grown to know right from wrong. I've grown to say, no, I'm not doing it, I'm not going, I'm not a part of this, I'm not a part of that. And there was a time where I really evaluated myself thoroughly. So 23 hours a day, I was in the cell for 10 years. And that gave me time, that peace of mind gave me time to realize and mourn and you know, ask the Lord for forgiveness for this and that, for the loss, for the life I live, for the sins I've done over the years. And it truly changed me, it humbled me. And the whole 10 years I did in the cells, I was on good behavior. Since I've been here at RLCC, I've been on good behavior. I've changed, I've humbled myself over the years. I don't get caught up in negativity. I'm like a role model to some of these youngsters. Some of these youngsters, a lot of them is coming here with no sense of direction. I mean, sometimes I step up like an uncle or dad and try to tell them when they're wrong or they're doing something disrespectful. I'm like an outspoken person. I'm always trying to make peace and try to tell a person, a first offender, when he's doing something wrong or that don't go like this. You don't do that. How would you like if somebody do that to one of your family members? That don't do that. That don't go like that, son. I'm always trying to talk positive. I'm not a bad person. My parents never raised me to hurt anybody. I'm not a bad person at all. It was just that night, July 31st, I let one of my co-defendants, you know, I guess you call it brainwash. I mean, I had trust in him like he was more than a friend, like we was brothers, and I made a real costly decision that I truly regret. I'm not a bad person. I mean, before my incarceration, I've had several jobs. I've done positive things in life, helping this person, that person. I'm not a bad person at all. And if I return to society, I would like to be a immediate impact to my children, my grandkids, and their friends. And also, if I have the opportunity from you all and my parole officer, I would like to be a motivation speaker to young kids that may be headed for the fast life or destruction along the way as time passes. I would like to talk to them about the life I live and the consequences, the things you lose, the people you lose, and all the things that you could get caught up in prison, like myself, like I got caught up with in 1998. If you don't think wisely, that could happen. I mean, I made a very costly decision of involving myself in immoral sin.
Let me ask you a question. When you were arrested the first time, you were charged with first degree murder, right?
Yes, ma'am. In 92, yes, ma'am.
And so, and they only sentenced you for manslaughter.
Well, I was charged with first degree murder, but to keep from going to trial on first degree murder, they put an offer on the table, a plea bargain on the table that if they give it to reduced charge, they would drop the manslaughter to manslaughter or robbery.
When you had the manslaughter charge in 98, they gave you a 40-year sentence to run concurrent with what you were already serving, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you got 2 for 1 there. Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Well, Warden, how long has he been there with you?
Let's see exactly when he got here. In 2010.
And what kind of prisoner would you say he is?
He stays pretty busy. Like you actually said, he does affiliate with a lot of the vendors on the housing units. He relates with the staff pretty good. Have a pretty good relationship with the staff here as far as the upper ranking staff. But he does pretty good.
And you think he should get his he doesn't have his GED?
Does not have his GED.
Okay. Mr. Turner, why didn't you get your GED? What happened?
I'm presently enrolled in GED class. I was in it. I had to sign out for medical reasons. I was on pain pills at the time I enrolled in class. I went from one class to the next class. And when I made it to the next class to a higher level, the medical department took me off the pain pills that I was taking to ease the pain. I've been dealing with a sciatic nerve on my left side, my back for over 10 years. I've been on the outside hospital, 3 different hospitals, like 3 times. I've been on several different medications. The last medication they had me on was a few years ago by the name of Neurontin. I was on those medications twice a day, but they no longer give those medications in DOC because offender was abusing that medication. So they took them all off over DOC. But the last medication I was on a medication by the name of Keppra. It was a juice solution. I was taking that. I was on that, even though it was easing my pain. But the doctor took me off because that's a seizure medication. And since then I'm not on any medication, anything, and I have the pain daily. The pain goes down my leg, and with a burning and tingling feeling, it goes down my legs. And so I have to get up out of my class to go stretch out, put my leg up on something to stretch out. I'm being painful. But I did tell the teacher, the head teacher, that if and when the medical department find a medication, something that could ease the pain, I'm willing to get back in school.
I see. What kind of skills do you have?
I'm kind of well experienced. I've worked at car dealerships. I worked at 3 car dealerships, Lake Charles Dodge, Shuttle Lincoln Mercury. I worked at transmission shops. I worked at the Port of Lake Charles in the ship throwing sacks. I worked at restaurants. I was a porter cleaning up after hours. I'm pretty well experienced, sir.
Okay. I have no more questions.
I have no questions. Are we ready to vote? Okay, at this time, Mr. Turner, the panel will vote and Ms. Ledoux will lead off because you are her case.
So Mr. Turner, in essence, you have received a 40-year sentence for 2 murders. I think that releasing you at this time would be inappropriate for the charges that you have received in your case. So my vote is to deny.
Okay, Mr. Tillis.
Mr. Turner, it seems like you've changed your life and trying to do better. My vote's going to be to grant.
Okay, Mr. Turner, my vote today is to deny. You have strong opposition from the district attorney in Allen Parish and in Calcasieu Parish. They feel like you would be a danger to society if you were to get out. That you got a break with the first-degree murder, which you pled down to manslaughter, and then, like Ms. Ledoux said, there's actually been 2 murders. So today, I vote to deny. There's 2 denials, and it has to be a unanimous vote for it to pass. So today, your parole has been denied. Good morning. We're still at Raymond Award. And the panel today is, I'm Carolyn Stapleton. We have Jerry Ledoux, and then we have Chuck Tillis. We already know the staff there. Would you please introduce yourself, Mr. Robinson, for our records, please, and your DOC number?
My name is Claude Robinson. Our DOC number is 613248.
Okay. Can you explain to us why you were here, why you were there, and why you are asking for a release, early release?
But at this moment, I'm asking for a delay in my parole. Legal matters in my case.
You're asking for a delay of your parole?
What the hell is your? Postpone.
Postpone of my.
You're asking for postponement of your parole hearing?
Reason.
What is the reason?
Oh, court reasons.
Court reasons?
Court reasons.
Going to court?
Can you be more,
Well, it's something that came up. It's something that came up in my case, and I'm finna get back in court on it. I had wrote the letter to the board saying about this about 30 days ago.
how would delaying this change anything with your court case? I don't see that this has any impact on your court case.
Well, me happened to answer to a matter of guilt, and I'm finna get back in court. That would mess with my court.
Do we have to do this?
I'd like to go into an executive session, discuss.
I'll second.
Ledoux,
Yes.
Stapleton,
Yes.
Tillis.
Yes.
Okay, we're back into session and the time is 10:17. Okay, we're going to take a vote now, whether or not to continue this parole hearing for a later date due to your request. Mr. Tillis.
My vote is to move for continuing.
My vote is to continue the case at the offender's request.
And my vote is to continue the case at the offender's request. So at this time, you have been granted your continuance. And the time is 10:17. And we're signing off from Raymond Board.
So what happens later on down the road, if you wish
Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called to order. Will the facility at Elaine Hunt, will you introduce yourself, please?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Keith Turner, Ward of Lane Hunt.
Joe Myers, Assistant Warden.
David Maines.
Okay, yes, Mr. Maines, would you introduce yourself and your DOC number for the record, please?
Yes, ma'am. My name is David Maines, and my number is 495-399.
Okay, on the staff on the panel today is myself, Carolyn Stapleton, Jerry Ledoux, and Chuck Tillis. Okay, I'm going to start by asking you, well, no, I'm going to ask you some questions about your record. You're a first-class offender. You've been sentenced to, your total sentence is 99 years. You have a parole eligibility date of 6/8/2025. You have an adjusted good time date of 3/23/2076. And you have a full-time date of 7/22/21/01. And your conviction was on 2 manslaughter cases, 40 years each, and a distribution of cocaine for 19 years. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to ask you, will you explain what you did that caused you to be arrested and convicted? And then you will answer why you think we should release you early, please.
Ma'am, so first of all, I'd like to just take a moment to apologize to Joe and Tang's loved ones for the pain and suffering that I've caused them. And I'd like everyone to know that I do see who they were, the lives they lived, the people they were, the people that loved them. When I was younger in college, I lived a double life. Part of the time I went to school and I did well. The other half I partied. And in partying, I began to sell drugs to try to support my lifestyle, which led me into meeting people of a shady character. One night, Jim Nguyen, my co-defendant, came to me and he made me aware of a beef he had with Joe. And Joe wanted to return some bad drugs to Jim, and that had Jim kind of nervous. So he wanted me to go along. And yes, Jim was tired of the beef and wanted to end it one way or another. So when we got to the meeting spot, an argument broke out between Joe and Jim. Jim picked up a gun and shot Joe. There was some scuffling around, and Jim began to yell for help. I picked up a shotgun out of the back of the truck and fired at Joe and Tang. They jumped into their car and took off. We pursued them in the back of the truck. Jim grabbed the other shotgun and began to fire at them. Their car came to rest in the church parking lot. Thinking that they were dead, we set the car on fire. And then Joe jumped out and we ran him over. And I think about that scene every day and the shame of what we did. When I got to Angola, because of the shame, I began to look for answers why. Not just why I was convicted, but that lifestyle leading up to that. I took some AA courses because I was intoxicated and impaired my judgment, kind of scared me. I took some rehabilitation courses to get some insight exactly what was going on with me. But ultimately, I found my answer in a strange place. I was at a rodeo meeting where Warren Kane was speaking, and I heard him say that criminals are selfish and they'll remain criminals as long as they stay selfish. And I began to work on that. That was my character flaw. It was a long process, but some of the outcomes was helping start reentry by becoming a mentor, a trade mentor, and then eventually becoming an NCCR instructor for HVAC. Because ultimately I felt better about myself when I was helping others. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Warden, is there anything you'd like to say or add?
Yes, ma'am. David has been with us since August of 2022. His last disciplinary write-up was June of that same year. He's a trustee, as he stated, in our maintenance department and does an excellent job keeping our air conditions and refrigerators running. He's programmed well, doing his incarceration, and he's done what we were asking him to do here in Hunt.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, today we have it, for you that are supporters, that would like to speak. Well, I'm gonna read out your supporters. Vicky Meeks, your mother, Kay Thompson, a friend, Libby LeBlanc, a friend. You have Peter Stagg here at headquarters. And then on Zoom later, we'll be speaking to Carrie Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project. So right now, will Vicky Meeks, your mother, speak on your behalf, please?
My name is Vicky Meeks and I'm David Main's mother. And I want to thank you for allowing me to speak today. And right again, I'm sorry, but
That's okay.
I would like to begin by expressing my sorrow to the victims' families. You know, I wish more than anything in the world that we could change July 17th, but we can't. But I want them to know that I have never forgotten those boys. And I am so very sorry. You know, David was 21 years old when this happened. He's now 45 years old. I've walked with him through all these years of incarceration. I've watched him grow into the man that I knew he was, the man that I raised as a boy. Neither of us know who that was on ETN Road on July 17th, but I can testify that the man that we see today is a different man. He's an amazing man because he has done everything he can to prove that he is a hard worker, a good person, and will be a benefit to society. David can never change his crime, but he knew he had to change himself. And that is what we're looking at today. And please understand, David has never shied away from taking responsibility for his crime. His remorse for the deaths that he caused led him to mentoring inmates. David doesn't want anyone to go down the road he traveled. In an effort to save lives, David teaches skills to inmates for their employability upon release, with the ultimate goal of keeping them away from circumstances where a life could be taken or their own lives thrown away. David is trying to do anything he can to stop senseless violence and teach that life is precious, because he now knows how precious life is. He is so sorry. As his mother, I'm so proud to have spoken over the years to different prison administrations, whether it was in Angola, police barracks, or Hunt. It gave me so much joy to hear wardens and others brag about my son and tell me what a good person he has done. I actually had a guard at police barracks one day tell me when I was checking in and we were talking, and he said, you know, Vicky, I really believe that if something went down at police barracks, that David would protect us. That's how much people thought of him. I know y'all have all the certificates, so you know he's earned so many certificates over the years. But just 2 months ago, he on July 14, 2025, he completed another one, which is about the victims. The justice class on victim impact, listen and learn. If David is released, he will not be a danger to the public, nor a burden on society. He has many opportunities of employment. Commissioner Burl Cain, who is now in Mississippi, has offered David a job, which includes housing at a prison in Mississippi as an HVAC instructor and technician. David would continue in his mentorship of prison inmates. David would be classified as a Mississippi State employee, with all the benefits associated with being a state employee. Commissioner Kane is waiting on his release, and David intends to take this job. But he's also been offered many other jobs, even though this is the job that he intends to take. So, and finally, David has a tremendous family support system. We have supported him throughout all these years of incarceration, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and visiting and all. We've actively supported him, and we will continue to support him after he if you should grant his release, leaves prison. I believe that David has shown us that he has been rehabilitated by prison. And for this reason, with this mother's heart, I beg you to let my son be released. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, we have at headquarters, Mr. Perry Stagg. Would you like to speak at this time, sir? Yes, sir.
My name is Perry Stagg. I would have about 30 years of experience in the field of corrections here in Louisiana. I'm spending most of that time as an assistant warden in Louisiana State Penitentiary. I first came in contact with David around 2010. My first contact with him was just in social situations there in the prison, getting to know him, getting to know his character. But I really got to know him when we started the rancher program in Angelle. And I asked him personally to be a vocational mentor in the program to teach electrical, residential, and commercial electrical to young men. I would have only asked David that if I believed in his character and the things that I saw him do every day and trusted him to take responsibility for those young men. I was asked by the family to do an assessment of David's time in prison, just to kind of highlight the things that he's accomplished and what he's done to prepare himself for reentry into society. I do several things when I do an assessment. David's last five, you have this information already. His last 5 risk assessments all show he's a low risk to reoffend. David's housing location history, he's lived in dormitories his entire stay in Department of Corrections, which indicates he's not a high risk offender. His disciplinary history, David's only had 3 write-ups his entire time in DOC, which has been about 25 years, I think, a little under 25. His disciplinary record is exemplary. You don't find too many people, only a handful that I even know of in all my time in corrections, who served that much time with only 3 disciplinary write-ups. That is astounding. That is very, very, very hard to do. So to be commended for that, and that should be a big factor in what we take into account here. David was made a Class A trustee at quite a young age. Normally, he's at 31 years old. He had only been in prison a few years when he was made a trustee. A lot of that was due to his character and the skills that he had acquired. The fact that he was considered to be a trustee at a young age like that tells you a lot about what the administration thought about David. You heard his mom speak about his job history and his rehabilitative programming that he's done. You have all of that in your record as well, I'm sure. David's always been placed in areas of high security and high trust by administration for the job he's had to do. Very technical equipment, sensitive electronics, security equipment, things like that. Everywhere he's been, David's been entrusted with jobs of that nature. Obviously, he's taken every class DOC has to offer, and he's taught most of them as well to other inmates. The one thing that I do when I do an assessment of an offender is I like to talk to former staff, current and former staff who've been in contact with the offender. One of the people I talked to was Captain Danny Honeycutt. He had just retired from Louisiana State Police Barracks where David had been housed. Captain Honeycutt personally recruited David from Angelle to live and work at the barracks. When I spoke with him, he was extremely complimentary of David. He said he participated in every program at the barracks, that David was heavily relied upon for HVAC and electrical repair, and was always willing to pass his knowledge along to other offenders. Captain Honeycutt said that he never had a single negative interaction with David or even heard anything negative about him. He made it a point to describe the confidence he had in David by virtue of the behind the state police headquarters, where there are many weapons in plain view and a large number of female employees. Captain Honeycutt told me he would be happy to speak for David or in any way he could, or help him in any way he could. Another person I talked to is the head chaplain at Hunt, Dr. Lawton Searcy. Dr. Searcy developed a close relationship with David over the past few years. He described David as one of the nicest guys he's ever met, said that David worked like a dog for the prison and he's one of the most respected offenders by the administration. Dr. Searcy said he's always willing to help where needed, and he volunteers without fail for the sandbag pile in times of hurricanes and floods. I also spoke with Barry Alonso, who was the maintenance superintendent of Louisiana State Police Headquarters. He said David was like a kid in the candy store with all the equipment in the room and just wanted to learn and soak up all the knowledge that he could. He indicated that David was able to be assigned tasks independently without supervision, and that David was extremely good at troubleshooting electrical problems. Mr. Alonso told me that David were to gain his freedom and had no place to go. He'd gladly let David live in his house with him and his family. I mentioned earlier that I have a personal, unique perspective with David, as I spent a great deal of time with him while I was employed at DOC. David, I mentioned earlier that I made him a vocational mentor. David was always willing to help in any way he could with any project we had, whether it was related to reentry or not. He always had a positive attitude. He always had a desire to help other offenders improve their lives. Every interaction I've ever had with David, he's been humble, respectful, unwavering, and is willing to assist anyone who needed it. I know David to be a good man with good character and a good heart. David is one of probably the top 5 inmates I've been around in my entire career when it comes to the character he displays on a daily basis. I know one thing y'all are probably concerned about is going to be the recent write-up he had at the state police barracks, where he was removed and sent to hunt. Obviously, that's something that needs to be addressed. I just ask you this: look at David's entire record. Look at the fact that in 20 some odd years, he's had 3 write-ups for entire incarceration. Look at all the high level DOC staff members who talk glowingly about David. Look at the character he displays on a daily basis and ask yourself, is that consistent with the man I know? Or does that seem strange for that type of event to happen? It seems strange to me. It seems like something completely out of character that's not consistent with anything else in David's record. You heard David's mom speak about a job opportunity that David has with Burl Cain. That is in fact true. I was in Burl Cain's office in Jackson, Mississippi last week, sitting down and speaking with him. And he asked me about David and asked me how soon before David would get to go home, because he desperately needs him to teach his offenders HVAC and electrical skills. That is a 60-year career DOC person who knows David personally and can't wait to hire him on his staff. So anyway, that's David. That's his time in prison and what he's done to prepare himself to be a citizen in society should he get that chance. One thing that struck me as being very important in looking at David's record is that David started pursuing rehabilitation of his character, his education, and his vocational skills when he believed he would never have an opportunity to go home, when he never believed he would have a chance at parole. And so the fact that he did those things shows a desire to be a better person with no chance at any reward for it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, at this time, Mr. Kerry Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here to let the board know that Parole Project has accepted David as a client. I will not go back over all the things that Mr. Stagg said. I think he summed it up very succinctly and fully. But I can tell you that when David said he was living a double life, that's real. That's true. David, in high school, David was a star football player. When he got to college, he tried to live a life that was bigger than him. As an 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, I guess the best you could say, it went to his head. And, he thought he was bigger than who he was. That happens sometimes with teenagers. He got into something he could not handle. He was way over his head. The difference between that David and David today is David is humbled. David understands the harm his actions caused. But besides that, as you just heard, David's devoted himself to making himself a better person, recognizing that he was out of control. He was over his head in things he could not control. I know David. I've known David for a long time. His work, his education in prison, his skills are exemplary. His conduct record has been exemplary. That's one of the reasons Parole Project is here today for David. He does have an excellent plan. Once he finishes Parole Project, he has employment. He's going to use those skills to teach other people who need those skills. While he's here with us, we will be able to help him through the transition that someone who served 24 years in prison needs. And that'll be learning a world that's different from the one he left. And those skills will teach him social norms, financial management, technology. While he has skills, he lacks some of the socialization skills. No one who spent that much time in prison can be totally deinstitutionalized. So that's exactly what Parole Project will be able to provide for him. And when he leaves, he'll still be in structure, working at Parchman for the Mississippi Department of Corrections. David's done exactly what Mr. Stagg has said he's done. His actions from the moment he entered prison have been about being a better person, about, and if you cannot make up for the actions, but it's been about trying to honor the damage that he's caused. And I know this because I know David. And so I'm asking this board to consider those things today. Consider the work that he's done, the trust that's been placed in him, the character that everyone has spoken to, the David today, and grant his parole.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Okay, at this time, we'll have people from the opposition speak. We have here at headquarters, Megan Martin. Would you like to speak?
I was on arguing with my Joe. I was Joe's fiance. I was pregnant at the time that this happened. So while I would like to commend David on all of his accomplishments that he has done while he's been in prison, that's great for him. But when someone is murdered, they're silent. He doesn't get to come here and ask for another chance. It's permanent. His voice was silent. Mine was not. I'm here to speak on his behalf. He was so much more than what happened that night. He was only 21 at that time, so he had a whole life ahead of him that was taken away from him. My son has lived his entire life in the shadow of David's actions. We paid for David's actions daily. David's actions took away my son's father. He never got the chance to have a father. The lives that David took meant something. They meant more than just saying that it was just something that happened 23 years ago. His desire for freedom cannot outweigh the severity of these crimes. His decisions had permanent consequences that affected many people's lives. I understand that David's family has suffered as well as we have, but they get to suffer with David. My son spent birthdays in a graveyard. We take family pictures with a headstone.
Saw that.
My son just graduated college without the support of his father. We spend all our holidays in a graveyard. I have pictures from my son in his carry-on car seat on the grave up until holding his college diploma in the graveyard. So it's not the same, their suffering compared to ours. The decision he made to murder 2 people is final. He was sentenced to life sentences, 40 years per life that he took. Serving 23 years is just not sufficient. That's half of one life sentence. I just don't think that granting parole right now, to me, would diminish the seriousness of the crime that happened. This was not a spur of the moment, oh, we got into an argument and I just had a weapon, I acted in the heat of the moment. This was premeditated. They cleaned bullets, they planned this, they chased them like they were animals. Overkill. So while David himself said he lived a double life, I don't know what happened in the police barracks, but is he really rehabilitated and able to make the transformation to be a contributing member of society? Or we get out and revert back to those ways? Whatever happened at the barracks shows me that he's still capable of having risky behavior, being violent. My son will pay for these crimes for the rest of his life, as will I. My son just urges you to deny today for the sake of his father's memory and for our pain and suffering. Like I said, I don't feel that the time served warrants parole at this time for the crimes that he committed. And we'll just continue to keep paying the death and final. And we have 2 lives that were cut through. Thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to make sure that he's not forgotten and he's more than just a murder victim.
Megan, I did want to ask one question. I noticed at the bottom of all the letters, that it was asked about, restitution, and the response was no. I don't know if, restitution for the funerals was needed. And I don't know if anyone told y'all about crime victims reparations, but, that does exist for the needs of funerals. So if y'all weren't told about that, you go to your sheriff's office, and if you and they can help you fill out an application if that was never done for the funerals of these 2 young men. I just wanted to make sure you knew about it. A lot of people don't know it exists.
Did not. Thank you.
And I was on the board at that time, so I do know a lot of people don't ever even know it exists. So and so you can go back, and then all they have to do is say that y'all were not made aware that it exists.
Okay. And I just want to say one more thing. I said that Earl Kane desperately needs David, but my son desperately needed a father. I desperately needed someone to help me raise a son. I didn't get that chance. No one here can, there's no death program that can help us. I'm proud of the work that David doing, that gives me hope that people can be rehabilitated, but you have to pay for the action that you decide to do, and it's not, it's certainly not time.
Thank you very much, and I
Thank
do
you.
understand. Okay, so now we will go to, the other sister. Is this, Tram Nguyen? Or is that who you're talking about? There another sister that wants to?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
Tramwin.
Okay, Tram Nguyen. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yes. So I'm Tang's sister.
Mhm. Yes, ma'am.
You can
Sorry,
make your
excuse me.
comment.
I now think she's upset.
I am. Each time we have this parole hearing,
Yes, ma'am.
it makes me angry and in a lot of pain because it brings up the memory of how my brother was tortured with no remorse.
Yes, ma'am.
The pain of thinking of how David and how my brother fought for his life, trying to escape to live, and having the people who wanted him dead watch him die. This pain has to be relived each time we do this. And each time we have this parole hearing, I express the same emotion and the same feelings and the same pain. And I don't think my pain or emotion will ever change. David never gave my brother the chance to live. He didn't have to. He didn't have the heart to help him from a burning car. He watched as my brother was tortured alive trying to survive. And the thought of his inhuman feelings to another life just fills me with anger. The impact of his action continued to cause a lot of deep and lasting trauma to our family. The fear and anxiety that his potential release brings and overwhelming, especially our parents. This morning, my mom called me and was like, she doesn't express her feelings, but she told us to let you guys know that if David is released, she is scared and she fears for her life because they know where we live. And she doesn't want to live in fear. We have tried to move on, but the emotional scar remains. Each parole hearing forces us to live a deeply painful time in our lives. And this is why we asked the parole board to deny his request for parole.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
know he tried to change, but you guys don't understand the pain that we had to live with. Not to see him, we had to have a closed casket. He could have helped and stopped all the action of what they did, but he didn't. And to know that my brother was struggling with his handprint in the mud by the car trying to escape the fire and no one helped him. They just watched him die.
Tram, I'm very sorry about you having to go through this. We all are. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. The next caller is Julie. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Julie Nguyen. I am the sister of Tang Nguyen. Sorry.
That's okay.
I am writing this statement to express my opposition to the parole of David Maines. July 17 was the day my brother was stolen from us forever. His absence has left us permanently and devastating void in our life. His murder shattered our family. The day we received the news is the date forever etched in our mind. And every holiday, birthday, and special occasion since then has been haunted by his absence. I've watched the joy leave my parents' eyes, and the stress has caused their health to decline. I personally suffer from PTSD, anxiety, and sleep issues, and have been to therapy to learn to live with this pain. The thoughts of offender being released after 23 short years sends a paralyzing fear through me. The small sense of safety we have managed to create for ourselves would be instantly destroyed. We have not been able to heal because we are constantly reminded of the violence that took our brother, murdered and burned in front of a church. Granting parole would be resentencing our family to more fear and pain. We're giving a life sentence of grief. An offender should serve the sentence he was given. I ask that you consider the lasting permanent damage that was inflicted on us and deny his request for parole. My family deserves peace, and so does my brother's memory. David Maine took away my brother's right to life. David Maine does not deserve the right to freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, very much. Okay, that at this time, this case belongs to, has been assigned to Chuck Tillis. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, Ms. Ledoux. Any questions? Any questions, any statements or anything? All right, I think the family has covered their feelings of grief, which is very deep. And then you do have opposition from law enforcement, the ADA, the chief of police, and the attorney general's office. I do know that, Mr. Maine, you've done a lot to improve yourself. There's no doubt about that. And you're certainly an asset to a lot of people, and you continue to be so. But you served, let's say, 23 years of a 99-year sentence for the heinous death of 2 individuals. That their families, you can see, they have not at all begun to get over. Some people think that there's just no time for grief, and you're doing, you're commendable. Everything that you're doing is very important also. But you know, I listened to what they had to say, and I think I'm very glad that they were able to come here and speak. But I know that it was very difficult. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes.
What's your?
Mr. David, I'm really, it's good that you've changed and are doing some things better, but due to opposition of family and law enforcement, my vote today is to deny.
Mr. Maines, yeah, I listened carefully to and there's 379 pages in your record. I've read them all, and I'd like to see some time since the 22 write-up that removed you from the police barracks. I think there needs to be a little more time, and serving 23 of 99 was not enough. You did plead down for first degree, but my denial does not negate the positive things that you have done, and I appreciate those in support of you, who hopefully will stand by you.
All right. So, and then my vote is to deny also. I don't feel like you served enough time on a 99-year sentence. I think the crime, especially considering the heinous nature of the crime. And then there's law enforcement opposition and extreme victim opposition. So the vote today is unanimous on denial of your parole, sir. Your parole denied. Yes. Good morning. This is the Committee on Parole, and we're called to order. We'd like to introduce ourselves. Panel today is myself, Carolyn Stapleton, Ms. Jerry Ledoux, Mr. Chuck Tillis. The time is 11:16. We'll, let's see, Mr. Germaine Coates, will you please introduce yourself and give your DOC number for the record, please?
My name is Germaine Coates, 366-873.
Okay. Will you please state what brought you into prison, why you're there, and why you're asking for an early release?
What brought me to prison was my bad decision I made committing this crime. And I want to tell the victim family that I made a very bad mistake by committing this crime. And I understand what I did. I hurted the family, friends, community, and I hurted my family, friends, and community. And I want them to know that the time I've been here, I rehabilitated, I changed my life. And I want y'all to know that, hey, this is a new person y'all see right now, and that I did everything I can to change. Now with this crime, it was June 11, 1995. I was 15 years old. And I was on a bicycle going to my friend's house. And while I was at, before I left my house, I had a gun that I had brought from the streets. So on my way back to my friend's house, two of my other friends was in the street with Joseph Moore, which I had just walked down, come down on the bike. And they was in the street, like getting into it or something was going on. All I know, he stopped and asked me, well, he stopped and told me, your friend threw a brick at my car. So I was like, I don't know if they did it or not because I just come from home. So I paddled off on the bicycle and he hit me in my head with a shovel handle stick. And I fell off the bike into a ditch. And when I went in the ditch, I rolled over, he came by and hit me numerous of times with the stick. So I pull out the gun, he hit me on my days because he didn't bust my head. I pull out the gun and shot 3 times. When I shot 3 times, he got up, he took off running. So when he got up and ran, I got on the bike, did it, kind of brushed off the mud, got on the bike and went home. So maybe 2-3 hours later, the police came and knocked at my door and asked for me and told me that that I was on arrest for second-degree murder. So it's in the car. Now I'm in prison for a bad decision I made. And, during my school time, I was uneducated and I was a slow learner. I was in special ed class. And I used to always think when I come to prison that I would never ever get my GED and that because I let that hinder me from going to the next level, getting my GED throughout my first 18 years in prison. Because when I come to prison, I was 16 and I come to Angola. And like I said, when I come to Angola, I was very young, I was small, and I was hearing all these things about Angola, the prison, how inmates beat people, rape people. So they was telling me, man, you gotta be a man. I said, either you gonna be a man or you gonna be somebody homosexual or something. So I was like, well, I'm not gonna be a homosexual. So throughout my years, my first 18 years, I found myself fighting a lot of inmates off, trying to not be what they wanted me to be. So I let my education hinder me from being in special ed and not getting my GED. So throughout the years, I went to a pastor named Pastor Richard Felix. Sir, he's a pastor, and he came to Angola preaching. And he asked me how long I've been locked up at the time, and I told him, and he asked me what I was doing with my time. I said, man, mister, I got life sentence. I said, I don't have a no outdate or nothing. So he said, man, start changing your life, start getting in program and get your GED. So I said, well, I'm gonna try. I said, it's hard because I was in special ed class. He said, man, don't let that hinder you. He said, do what you need to do to get to your family. Because you're still young, you can do it. He said, believe in yourself. So I started believing in myself. I started going to church a little regular. I started getting to school, getting my GED. So it took me a long time to get it throughout the years. I ended up getting my GED up here in Hunts. And from that point on, they opened up a lot of doors for me to get a lot of other certificates in my jacket. And now I found myself here when I come to Hunts from Angola. They asked me, what you want to do while you're here? And I said, I want to give a certificate, I want to get my GED was the foundation of everything else I received. So I worked hard to get my GED. I received it. I went to trade school. I got my CERT national certification. I got my core, which is national, it's a core thing. And like 30 some certificates since I've been here, and I stayed right up free since I've been here in Hunts. So I really been trying my heart out to do what I need to do to get my freedom.
Okay.
I really been trying, and I kept myself out of trouble. I got a big family support. I got jobs and anything that's out there waiting for me. I got, like I said, I got a family. I got everything I need to be released. I just want y'all to know that I have changed. I'm a new man now. I done took all these programs to change me. So I knew I had a lot of weaknesses in me that need to be changed. That's why I went through them programs. Because all the programs helped me. And I had other inmates that helped me, that guide me spiritually to try to keep me on the right track. It was hard, but I made it. So I thank myself for that.
I'm gonna thank you very much. I mean, I can tell that you've worked very hard on everything that you've received while you've been in prison to improve yourself. Warden, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, ma'am. We received it in November of 2022. And like he said, he has remained right up free since he's been here with us. He has earned his GED, and he does an outstanding job in our food service area. So we don't have any issues with him here. He does what we require of him here. He's done an outstanding job.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, well, I'm going to introduce who's at headquarters. It would be your mother, Miss Lathan, and your father is here at headquarters, Mr. Lathan. And we have on Zoom, Miss Jocelyn Dyson, the aunt. Would you like to speak now, ma'am?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here and speak on my nephew Germaine's behalf. My name is Jocelyn Dyson, and as Germaine said, he came, here at a very young age. So naturally, I've seen him grow and come into the person that he is. I would be remiss if I don't mention the fact that our family took this incident very, very serious, and we know the seriousness of what brought him here, led him here today. We knew Joseph Moore, we knew, as a matter of fact, we knew his entire family. We were part of a community there in Zachary, Louisiana. And Joseph Moore was actually a classmate of mine in which I went to school, Northwestern High School, with many of his siblings. So that was very hard, for us too. So not only were we mourned for Joseph Moore family, we mourned for our family too, because of what had actually happened, because, we felt that he had good family, good family values. He had a father and mother, which sometimes they blame, the absence of, not being in the family, but came from a two-parent family. But I've seen his growth and the strong support that he has waiting for him. He he accepts responsibility for the harm that he's caused and also for the detrimental consequences as a result of his poor decision, impulse, uninformed, decision that evening. And I really feel that he has shown remorse. He's shown maturity because his growth has been what I've seen, come to see for him, being incarcerated all of these years. He spoke about his GED, and I know that there was challenges for him. He probably, that was an area in the GED that it was difficult, for him to get past. But with his determination, he finally got over the finish line. And I think that is one of his most cherished accomplishments uh, in being there. And also, I know that he's participated in many programs, training, programs there. I mean, I can only name a few, numerous ones, because I think the last count, when he and I discussed it, it was probably over 40. But I think two critical ones, which I could only remember, that will give him some really critical skill sets, and that will allow him, to be more employable as he, if allowed to return to the community. He participated in the Safe and Serve, which I think is a restaurant certification, which would allow him, the skills to be able to become, employed in the restaurant industry. Also, I recall the CORE, C-O-R-E, the acronym CORE program, which I think that allows him skill sets for construction craft and, real diverse, set of employment opportunities would exist there.
Ms. Dyson, I hate to interrupt you, but we have a time limit on. And I understand you're extremely proud of his accomplishments and they're wonderful. But we have the certificates in it, and it's very very good that you were able to call in support of your nephew.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
I apologize for my long-windedness,
It's not a problem.
we
got two other family members that, but.
Yeah, this is a first time for me, so,
Me too. So we're in the same boat, okay?
Yeah, but
well, you have a nice day.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
In my closing, I believe in the person that my nephew Germaine has become. And I hope and believe that I know he deserves a second chance in proving himself in life. And I just want to thank you as I close in that statement. I want to thank the board today and for the time and the critical decisions that you have to make, day to day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day, ma'am.
Thank.
Okay. I want to recognize on YouTube watching us is the cousin Rodney Coates. He's not going to speak, but now we have Donalyn Coates, the sister that would like to speak.
Hi, this is Donalyn. I'm a travel.
I got to start off with, we do have a time limit. It's around 3 minutes. Okay.
That's exactly where I was going. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
So first I want to say that thank you so much for this opportunity for us to be able to even speak as a family, because oftentimes we get to talk about inmates and their accomplishments and their this and that. But it's a hard pill to swallow whenever you have family members that are grieving the loss of their loved ones, and you sit back and actually look at and really meditate on actually the impact of losing a loved one. I've lost love. We've all, I'm pretty sure either we have personally or know someone that have lost someone. So I can't imagine this family loss for not having a loved one in lives anymore, and no amount of apologies that I can offer to this family is going to bring their loved one back. And I do sincerely apologize on behalf of my family that this happened to you all, because your family member is gone, and he's not coming back. But the hope is that this family does allow grace and mercy to be on the scene, to be able to allow this young man to be able to redeem himself. Because you've heard testimony, you have the paperwork to show what this person has done while he's been incarcerated to be able to rehabilitate himself. But the ultimate decision is yours, board. My brother was a young man, and I'm going to tell you the opposite, that stayed his behind in trouble in our community. And I'm saying stayed behind, throwing rocks, playing in the canal next to the house with tracks that was not far from our community. Friends stayed riding bikes and ride along the track. I made mud pies. I didn't understand that crap. But all that to say, I was his big sister. I was the big sister that fought him and beat him up often. I was the big sister that showed him, I thought, how to be a part of my world, because I prayed for him. My family, my parents asked me, what did I want in life? And I said, I wanted a brother. Here I got a brother. All that to say, choices were made that were not wrong. And I know that we can be sensitive about the wording, whether we want them to say, oh, I made a mistake or I committed a crime. But something happened that we can't take back. A life was lost. And at the age that he made this choice at 15, you can say statistically, his mind may have not been developed in order to do that. But at the time that he was on that bike, and he brushed that, and he demonstrated wiping blood off of his shirt and going home. No, he shouldn't have. He should have turned himself in. But at 15, do we really think that this person had the skills at 15 in order to do that? He didn't. And yes, when the police knocked on our door and got him, I was surprised too to find that he had a gun in his possession and he had done this crime. So my time is spent. I apologize to this family to no end. We have a family member in common between us. I pray that my brother get the opportunity to redeem himself, to come home to the community, to connect to his nephew, who's a part of this family also, and be a part of the society, and to be able to move forward with his life. Thank you for your time, board.
Thank you, Ms. Dyson, very much. Ms. Coates, I'm sorry. Mr. Myers. Mr. Kerry Myers.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project here to let the board know we're in support of Germaine's parole today. We're here basically for two reasons. One, the U.S. Supreme Court said that juveniles are different. Their brain science is well established. And second, because Germaine did the work himself to make himself eligible for this hearing. It's not an excuse about his age, but it does give causation. It does give understanding to the impulsive actions of a 15-year-old. The 45-year-old Germaine is quite different from that 15-year-old. Parole Project understands that. Parole Project actually came into existence because the Supreme Court's ruling in Miller Montgomery that allowed juvenile lifers to have this opportunity. We understand that. We understand Germaine's needs. Should he get parole today? And the things that he would need to re-enter society. He will have a mentor. He will have somebody who will be there coaching him through that, the changes. He's going to have to understand the world that he doesn't understand. And that's why we're here. We will provide him with that support. But in addition to that, you see the extraordinary support he has from his family. Germaine will be here in the Baton Rouge area. Will be available to him. Even, our program is we do case management for a minimum of 1 year. But we always say once a client, always a client. Germaine will be in this area and he'll always be able to reach out to us for support, mentorship, for guidance. That coupled with his family support, I think that Germaine is ready to come home, and just ask this board to consider the factors and why we're here today in granting his parole.
Yes, please.
Mr. Myers, how many juvenile lifers has the Louisiana Parole Project served? I can't pin you down to a specific number, but about how many lifers have y'all? Mr. Myers, can you hear me? Oh, perhaps, yeah, you're frozen.
Okay. It's been over 75.
And what is your recidivism rate with juvenile lifers?
%.
I'm sorry, cut out.
About, am I breaking up?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, could you repeat the percentage of recidivism?
It's right at 1%, and none of those have gone back for a similar violent offense.
Okay. I just wanted to get that information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Okay, at this time, in opposition, we're going to speak with the victim's sister, Dana Moore, on Zoom. Oh, they're not speaking. Hello, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Dana, and I just want to state that I am in opposition to Mr. Coates' release. I want to start by saying that when this is my first time actually hearing the story. I'm the youngest of 7. Joseph he meant the world to us. And I heard his sister and I heard everybody about how he's changed and and it just makes me wonder, where was all the support before that? I think individuals make choices. Sometimes they make the right choices, sometimes they make the wrong choices. I do believe that the choice that Mr. Coates made was very wrong. Joseph as a child struggled just as he did. Joseph as a child would get into stuff as well. And I can remember my mom telling us, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You're going to do something with your life. And he did. He made a choice. He's like, I don't want to be fighting anymore. I don't want to be getting into it anymore. And he went away and he gained a trade. And he became one of the top welders in Morgan City and back in Baton Rouge. So to hear him his life being taken that way really, really hurt me as well as my family. And I can't even begin to describe how much we miss him and how it has broken us. But the Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and he saves those that are crushed in spirit, and we're healing on a day-by-day basis. It's hard for me to talk about this. I'm no longer in Louisiana because it's hard to not be home and have your family, because everyone has passed, and I'm the youngest of 7, and all my brothers are gone now. And so when this case was brought up, I really pondered over, do I really want to speak about this? Do I really want to dredge those feelings back up again? Because I'm trying to heal from it. And it's a day-by-day process for each and every one of us. My thing is, I'm a nurse in labor and delivery, and I've also worked in the ER, and I've seen it all. And I've seen the joy of a mother when she first holds her child in her hands and all these aspirations she has for them. And to have them turn their life into something that hurts everybody is a hard pill to swallow, not just for my family, but for the Coates family as well. I just want to say you took something from me that can never be returned. Justice must be served, and I understand that you're, um, I'm sorry, trying to change your life and made the accolades to do so, and I commend you for that. I wish that, can you see me and hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay.
Can't see you, but we can hear you.
But you
Okay,
need
sorry. There we
us
go.
and not them. So you need
Okay,
to, your
I
comment.
need to flip it back. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Um, I just pray for Mr. Coates because it's not my. I don't want to be the judge. I don't. The court made its decision, and God will have the last say as to whether he gets out or not. Um, I don't think he should be because I don't have my brother, and I don't feel that he should be out. I understand that you have jobs lined up, but not, mostly I see when people get out, they may prosper a little while, but they return to their old ways. I heard everything about what you did on paper and what you did, but I didn't hear about how your heart changed. To me, when you go and commit murder, there's something in your heart that ain't right. And I'm not saying that people can't change, and I'm also not saying that people can't revert back to their old ways. I just don't believe it. And the thing that resonated with me the most is when my mother and my grandmother were there in court, and they were going over everything that happened. And my mom said that the one thing that she remembers was Mr. Coates had this smirk on his face, like he really didn't care. He really didn't care. And to have that memory of my mother crying about that, the shrill of a mother losing her child, whether he's an adult or a baby, it just stayed with me for years and years and years. And so, I'm sorry, the phones keep breaking up.
No, ma'am, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I I was a little fresher before I heard the actual story because I've never really heard the whole story, so it's kind of taking me aback. And I'm hearing it different from the way it was told to me. So, um, I want to, I don't know, I don't want to be crying about this, but it still hurts.
Understand.
It still hurts really bad.
Is there anything else, Ms. Moore, that you would like to add? I see that you're getting, obviously and understandably, it's hard to talk about.
Yeah. I don't want to say anything else. Is that I pray for Mr. Coates' soul. I don't hold grudges. I just don't think that you're ready in your heart to be released. I know you're ready. You miss your family and you made strides in your life, but you have your family. We don't have Joseph anymore. And that's how I feel about it. I don't think you should be out.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm glad that you were able to join us today, Ms. Moore. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to turn the questioning over to Ms. Ledoux. She's been assigned your case.
Mr. Coates, you've taken quite a few rehabilitative programs. Which one was other than, I know that GED was very significant for you. Which of the other programs did you learn the most from?
I have to say the transition, because the transition was the one that pretty much changed my heart, that made me think better, that made me do better, that really put their willingness in me, that make me get the program, that made me believe in myself. Because throughout the years, I didn't believe in myself that I could do it. And there was a very big push for me to believe in myself that I could do all the impossible things that I thought I couldn't do. So I had to say transition was one, and second had to be victim impact, because as you heard, she's still going through what she's going through. And I understand now this value of people's life. His life was valuable, and I took his life. and I understand that. She's supposed to be hurt. That's why I say victim impact was another big foundation, because I learned how to understand what she's going through. And my condolences go out to her. I know it's been 30 years, but I still want her to know that I changed. I'm not the same person. And I'm not gonna never ever commit this crime again, that I'll never take nobody's life again. I learned from my bad decision. My bad decision got me life sentence right now since I was 15. I never even been with a woman. So I understand all that. So, hey, I'm not gonna make that decision again by taking someone's life, because his life is valuable and everybody else's life is valuable. So I learned how to cherish people's life. So
Let me ask you, so you've had several write-ups while you've been in. At your age, we expect to see write-ups because of the difficulty. But how do you think that you're reacting to the triggers within the prison environment? How are you learning to deal with conflict within the walls?
because when a bad situation transpired between me and another offender, I learned how to think, especially if they're aggressive. I'm gonna be very passive towards the situation and try to calm them down and tell them whatever it is, I'm sorry for what I did, even if I wasn't wrong. Just tell them that, just to calm them down, talk to them, and we try to talk it over and resolve our situation. So I learned how to think in bad situation like that.
So, what is your current job assignment?
Well, in prison, I work in the kitchen. I work in the kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what the serve.
Yes, ma'am. Service aid.
Yes, sir. In the jacket, it indicates that you're not involved in any faith programs. Do you go to AA, NA, or anything like that?
I went with the transition, the RDAP, what they call residential, what is residential?
Ms. Ledoux, this is Warden Butler. So he's referring to it as transition. It's our behavioral management program that we offer here at Hunt. There's two components, a behavioral component and then a residential drug abuse program, where these guys are living in and around mentors together. And it's a 90-day certified treatment and rehabilitation program that we offer here at Hunt.
And he has taken Thinking for Change as well as being involved in that.
Yes, ma'am.
And Living in Balance. He got his GED. Okay. How long has it been since you've been in that transition program?
I finished that program and I did it soon after coming to Hunt, so I got straight in there. So I got in there right in February 23. Now I finished in May? That'd be May of 23.
Notice you haven't done much of the programming until recently, which may not be a bad thing since, you want to be prepared. Are there any programs that y'all feel like that he absolutely needs? Or that transition program was a pretty good one for him?
I think that's a pretty good one. I think he's done an outstanding job. He's done great since we've had him.
I'm not familiar with that one. Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, Mr. Tillis, do you have any questions?
I'd like to go to the executive session.
Okay, I'll call for executive.
We'll see. Second. Ledoux? Yeah. Ferguson?
Yes.
Yes.
We take a vote.
Make a motion, we return.
Session.
Okay, and the time is 11:53. All right, good. Ms. Ledoux.
Mr. Coates, you know, you received a second-degree murder charge at 15 years old. In an incident that was a very unfortunate, it wasn't premeditated, y'all were in a fight. My vote today is going to be to grant your parole. I believe that you are aware and remorseful for the crime you committed. You have a good plan. My vote is also, Mr. Myers, to go to the Parole Project for a period of no less than 6 months of residential stay. And then, Mr. Coates, you'll need to be in touch with the Parole Project anytime you have a life-changing event, any struggles, you need to be reaching out to get some help going through that. But that's just one vote on today is to grant.
Okay. Mr. Chillis?
My heart goes out to the sister of the victim, which are good. And my vote today is going to be to grant, same as Ms. Ledoux.
Okay. I concur with my colleagues and like Mr. Tillis, Dana, we heard your grief and we know that you're hurting right now. He was 15 years old and he's got a good transition plan. The Louisiana Parole Project is a very good plan. He has served 29 years of the life sentence. I agree today to parole. So you have a unanimous decision to parole, and then Ms. Ledoux set forth the conditions, and that'll conclude our hearing. Okay, we're reconvening at Hunt and the time is 12:06. The panel will introduce. My name is Carolyn Stapleton. This is Jerry Ledoux, and this is Chuck Tillis. And we're still at Elaine Hunt. Let's see, would you please introduce yourself, Mr. Mosley, for the record, with your DOC number?
My name is Shannon Mosley. My DOC number is 598876.
Okay, well, I'm going to read from your master record some information and ask you to verify if it's correct, please. You're a first class offender and you've been sentenced to 40 years for forcible rape. You have you don't have a good time date, and your full-time date, your parole eligibility date is 12/16/22, and your full-time date is 8/21/2049. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I'd like for you to explain to me what caused you to become a prisoner, why you've been in prison, and why we should release you early.
Well, I have got on drugs. And I let's see. And what caused me to come to prison, I raped somebody, and I'm truly regret it. And man, I ain't no words to describe how I feel. I mean, I really truly sorry for what I did. And I'm just asking for mercy and then one more chance.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? That's all? Okay, Warden, is there anything that you would like to say?
Oh, yes, ma'am. We received him here on January 11th, 2016. During his entire incarceration, he had remained right up free, which I think, he should be commended for that. But he's got some work to do. There are a lot of opportunities here for Brandon, and there are some classes that he definitely needs to get involved in, which would help him moving forward. He's got some work to do.
Okay, Mr. Mosley, I'm not sure I read this out or not, but you were convicted of forcible rape for a sentence of 40 years. I may have said it, but I may not. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes,
okay, we're going to go into executive session at this time.
Well, let me ask a question. Have you taken the sex offender treatment classes?
No, ma'am, not yet. That's why when I got my letter, I tried to set my parole date back so I could take my classes. And they said I got denied for that.
Yeah.
I remember having to.
Ms. Ledoux, this is Warden Buttress. We didn't formally submit anything on his behalf from this facility. I don't think he submitted a formal request to have his hearing continued.
Right. Well, we the amount of time it takes to take those classes, I'm sure that's why we denied any kind of request of that for continuation. I'd like to go into an executive session for a moment to discuss some confidential information, please.
I second the motion.
Tillis?
Yes.
Yes.
Ledoux?
Yes.
We'll come out of executive session at this time. Can we have?
A second.
And the time is 12:17. This will do.
Yeah, Mr. Mosley, how many years have you served for this 40-year sentence?
16.
15 years. Okay.
16.
16. Okay. I'm noting that you understand that you need some more time to take some programming.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that that's a general consensus by the warden and I also, that you need some more time to take some more classes. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you know my vote today is to deny your parole based on lack of programming, so that you can take advantage of that. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Tillis, would you like to vote?
Yes, my vote also is to deny, and I concur with Ms. Ledoux.
And my vote is to deny, and I concur with Ms. Ledoux. And we also have extreme law enforcement opposition, DA and AG. And that concludes. So you had, it's a unanimous vote to deny, so your parole has been denied, sir. Okay, can y'all hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Sam. Okay, yes, sir. Okay, we're still at Elaine Hunt and the time is at 12:21. The panel today or the board is myself, Carolyn Stapleton, Jerry Ledoux, Chuck Tillis. Will you introduce yourself for the record, sir, Mr. Boyd? And your DOC?
Brian Kenneth Boyd,
Okay, and your DOC number?
518-549.
Okay. All right, let's see. Can you please tell me why you are in prison and why we should release you early?
Aggravated armed robbery. And no, you shouldn't release me.
That may be why you didn't take any classes. Are you comfortable where you're at?
Yes, ma'am.
I figured that. Okay, Warden, would you like to say anything?
I think he said it all, man.
I think so too. I think we kind of covered the bases. Okay, I'm ready to, oh wait, I've got to say, okay, you're a third class offender. You're not eligible for good time. Your parole eligibility date is 8/6/25. Your full term date is 8/5/35. You were sentenced to 30 years for the armed robbery, and now we're prepared to vote. And I'll be voting first because case is mine. And today I'm going to vote to not parole you, to deny, based upon no programs, no nothing. You seem to be comfortable where you're at.
My vote is to deny parole based on no rehabilitative programming and at the request of the offender.
My vote also is to grant the defendant. I'm granting him his wish.
Oh, there you go.
My vote is
There
to
you
deny
go.
also. I concur with Ms. Lindu.
You're unique. You're smiling. Most people don't do that after a deny.
Lindu.
Yeah, I've seen parole boards many a time, and not down here, but in Kansas. So yes, I know how to do it. I mean, I committed the crime that I committed.
Yes, sir.
And there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, man. I won't deny that. I won't say it was somebody else's fault or somebody else. I committed the crime.
Yes, sir.
I've learned to do my time, and it doesn't bother me to do the time because I've taken responsibility for what I have done.
Okay, well, have a nice day. And so we'll be signing off at Elaine Hunt at 12:24.
Thank you.
Thank you, Warden.